398484.
Hey, welcome in, Bruce Hooley Show. We're just about ready to get started for a Thursday edition. Glad to have you along. Here we go. Well, there are no shortage of headlines today as we begin a Thursday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. We have a prisoner swap that will apparently get Paul Whelan and Evan Gerskovich out of Russia, along with another American. My old recollections of Soviet Russia. I guess now they're just Russia, although they're headed by a guy who would like to put the old USSR back together again. How many people do the Russians get? We get 3, they get 24. Man, that Biden administration, master negotiators. We get a WNBA player back for the Merchant of Death. That's a heck of a trade, right? So that's at the top of the news, but not to me. The Trump appearance at the Society of Black Journalists is much more significant to who wins the presidential election this coming fall. J.D. Vance going to the southern border and Kamala Harris not talking about any of her sudden epiphanies on all the issues that make her unelectable, speaking rather through press releases. That's more consequential to me. The convergence of an event that happened this morning at the Paris Olympics, which highlights the lunacy of the transgender movement, which is upheld by Kamala Harris and apparently a lot of the people that she's evaluating as vice president, is more important to me. And the fact that that particular issue, abiding the lie that a man can be a woman can be a man, a boy can be a girl, and a girl can be a boy, comes right down to where I'm sitting right now. We abut the Olentangy School District, here where the 9890 Answer Studios are located. And Olentangy went to court to defend its policies that term misgendering a student as bullying. The alternative headline to that would be the Olentangy School District went to court to punish students for telling the truth, and they won. So if you are a parent of a student in the Olentangy School District, I would highly encourage you to evaluate the myriad other educational options that you have for your student for the fall. If you would like your students to traffic in truth rather than in lies and zealotry. It does not apply to other public school districts. I'll evaluate them on a one-by-one basis. But in the Olentangy School District, it is an absolute train wreck of a district when it comes to its leadership. But we start with what I think is a unique accomplishment, a grotesquely unique accomplishment by the Biden administration, which has turned the worst day in American history into something even worse. The attacks on innocent civilians on 9/11, to me, is the worst day in American history because it is the day where we were jarred from our belief that we were immune from the kind of terrorist acts that happen around the world. We found out that day in horrific fashion as 3,000 everyday Americans who went to work or who went about their business, flying to a business appointment or to a leisure appointment or just minding their own business. Ordinary, everyday Americans, not military soldiers who signed up and knew that their signature on an enlistment form might lead to their death in battle, but just moms, dads, children, grandparents, and others going about their business, not bothering anyone, were murdered by terrorists. 3 of those terrorists have been in Guantanamo Bay since being arrested for their role in the 9/11 attacks. And all 3 of them were given yesterday by the Biden administration a plea deal, which will allow them to avoid the death penalty for their crimes. All 3 of them. Now, the deaths suffered on 9/11 were just the beginning of the carnage inflicted upon America by those terrorists. I have talked before about a friend of mine who went to New York City in his role as a journalist, a photojournalist, to capture the events of that day. He was an amazing patriot. He died of 9/11 related cancer. Many people did. Many of the NYPD officers, many of the NYFD firefighters did. If they didn't die on 9/11, a lot of them died later on. You never lose the pain of that day. We commemorate that day in our country. We should commemorate that day in our country. We should never forget it. We have a 9/11 memorial that honors the victims of that day. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Merrick Garland, the Justice Department dishonored, betrayed the families of those victims yesterday with this plea deal. Mitch McConnell, Republican senator from Kentucky, the Senate minority leader, called the move to allow Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Walid Mohammed Salih Mubarak, who cares what their names are, 3 of them. Mitch McConnell called it a revolting abdication of the government's responsibility to defend America and provide justice. He's absolutely right. He went on. He said, the Biden-Harris administration's weakness in the face of sworn enemies of the American people apparently knows no bounds. He's absolutely right on that, too. The only thing worse, McConnell said, than negotiating with terrorists is negotiating with them after they are in custody. The families of their victims and the American people deserve real justice, and they do not get it, of course, from this plea deal. And he goes on to note that the Biden and Harris administration, just like the Obama administration, and remember, Obama promised to close Guantanamo Bay, where we keep these animals who exact death, vengeance, and believe it is their lifelong mission to carry out jihad against infidels. Obama wanted to close Gitmo in the first week of his first term of his presidency. He promised to do that. Thankfully, he was unable to ever get it done. But don't discount Joe Biden in his final 6 months of office trying to get it done again. McConnell wrapped up his statement by saying, this administration's cowardice in the face of terror is a national disgrace. And he is absolutely correct on that. House Speaker Mike Johnson. 23 years ago, America watched in horror as thousands of innocent Americans died. America mourned for weeks afterward as first responders sifted through the ashes at Ground Zero, the Pentagon, and at the crash site in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. For more than 2 decades, the families of those murdered by these terrorists have waited for justice. This plea deal is a slap in the face to those families who deserve better from the Biden and Harris administration. It is not a coincidence that this weakness is proliferated beyond 9/11. It is not like, oh, that's a case we'd like to get rid of. We'd like to forget that day. We'd like to move on. No. Remember me telling you a couple months ago about the 2 guys who tried to force their way onto a Marine base in Quantico, Virginia? Hassan Youssef Hamdan and Mohammed Kahar Dabous. Would you have been surprised if I told you they were the 2 terrorists imprisoned with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed? No, of course you would not. Because there is a certain sameness to all these terrorists. There's certainly a sameness in their motivation for their hatred toward America. Both of them crossed into our country illegally in April. And what do you know? Shortly thereafter, they were trying to get onto a military base in Quantico, Virginia that houses the FBI Academy, the FBI Lab, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and the U.S. Marine Corps Command, which includes supervision over a little thing called Marine One, the presidential helicopter. What bad could happen letting 2 illegals come across the border and get access to Marine One? Gee, I don't know. Can you envision a scenario where they might want to do something? Whatever happened to these 2 guys? Well, they yesterday were released from Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention despite being in the country illegally. Man, how many millions of dollars in bail did they have to post, Bruce? $15,000 for one of them and $10,000 for the other. $25,000 chump change to well-funded terrorist organizations around the world, of which there are scores. They have been released, but they were given a court date. I'm sure they'll come back, maybe in a big truck packed with fertilizer and explosives. This administration is such a disaster, does not care about the safety of American citizens, does not care about the safety of citizens of our allies like Israel, prattles on and pontificates about its accomplishments with NATO while making the world a more dangerous place every hour of every day.
Thunderstorm this afternoon could be heavy. That could bring some damaging wind, a high 90. Cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm tonight will 72. Clouds and sun. Shower and thunderstorm for tomorrow. Could be heavy late in the day. Flash flooding.
Unbelievable.
High 86.
It's just unbelievable how stupid and despicable they are.
Partly sunny for Sunday, and the high Sunday at 88. Partly sunny, humid Monday.
First one's QC Kinetic.
Thank you. I will get a hold of Matt right now.
Okay.
War has played a key role in the history of the United States, from the nation's founding right down to the present. Wars made the United States independent, kept it together, increased its size, and established it as a global superpower. Hi, I'm James Early, host of the Key Battles of American History podcast. In each episode, I discuss American history through the lens of the most important battles of America's wars. To start listening now, go to parthenonpodcast.com or search Key Battles of American History on your favorite podcasting platform.
Planning for retirement is no small task. If you don't know where to start, join Rodney Peters of Peters Wealth Group every Saturday at 10 and 2 for Retire Ready Ohio. Rodney shares helpful tips and strategies that just might change the course of your retirement. Listen every Saturday at 10 and 2 to Retire Ready Ohio with Rodney Peters of Peters Wealth Group. The firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Peters Wealth Group, a state-registered investment advisor.
You'll sleep better knowing you got a great deal on a great mattress because you got it from Mac Mattress Outlet and the Discount Shopping Club. Right now, get a $500 certificate from Mac Mattress Outlet for any mattress purchase for only $250. These certificates go fast, and when they're gone, they're gone. For details, log on to the Discount Shopping Club at 989theanswer.com.
Are you looking for a way to preserve our founding history and American spirit for generations to come? Look no further than the blueprints of Liberty Brick. Each brick you purchase helps build Liberty Village, a family destination where youth and families will encounter history like never before. You'll feel a sense of pride and belonging when you see your name engraved on a brick in Liberty Village. The Blueprints of Liberty Brick is a way to leave your mark on the future while preserving our nation's rich heritage. Liberty Village will impact hundreds of thousands of visitors, capturing the lives, moments, and stories of the greatest men and women in our nation's founding history. Join us in creating a legacy for generations to come. Visit UnitedWePledge.org today to order your Blueprints of Liberty Brick and learn more about this monumental project.
If you're a business owner and a listener to The Answer, you might not realize that the conservative news and talk content that you enjoy is advertiser supported. Our loyal audience loves to do business with the advertisers who make our programming possible. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some advertisers who avoid The Answer because they don't like what we do here. That's their loss because our listeners are eager to support advertisers who support our conservative programming. To learn how to reach our audience with your business's message and support this station, please contact me at 614-318-0401 or click on How to Advertise at 989theanswer.com. That's 989theanswer.com. And remember, when you advertise on 98.9 The Answer, our loyal audience know that you care about our programming as much as they do.
Those aches and pains can really crop up once we get into summer and you start becoming more active. You're back on the golf course, you're out in the yard, maybe you're riding a bike, taking a walk, and ooh, your hip, your back, your elbow, they're screaming at you. And I know the temptation is typically to head to your primary care physician, maybe you get referred to rehab or something like that. Really adds up, does it not? And you're tethered to going to appointments and taking certain medicine every single day. Well, there is another way. If you're told you're bone on bone, you have arthritis, nothing they can do except surgery. Before I would enter into that arrangement, I would check out whether I can get relief from QC Kinetics. Their clinics in Dublin and Gahanna have given lots and lots of relief to many, many people here in Central Ohio. What do? They take out the healing agents into your blood, re-inject them, separate them, do them strategically, and the results are amazing. You will not know if it works for you until you take the free consultation by calling 380-208-4544, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. So, Donald Trump yesterday appeared at the Society of Black Journalists convention. And look, I mean, did you think it was going to go well? It didn't go amazing, is what I would say. And it didn't go amazing, first of all, because Donald Trump is not going to get a fair shake at the Society of Black Journalists convention. He should know that going in. I'm sure he did. You have to prepare yourself for the kinds of questions you're going to get. They were not surprising questions. I will vote for Trump. Trump is a vastly superior choice to Joe Biden. It is not even close. It is a battle between incompetence and evil versus common sense and competence. Biden is evil. He is incompetent. Harris has no singular legislative accomplishment ever in her empty career in politics. She's now trying to run from every political position she has ever taken. So I want to state up front, clearly, concisely, loudly, boldly, unequivocally, I will vote for Donald Trump. Do I wish he was better at finishing the prosecution that he could bring to Kamala Harris's background, to Joe Biden's policies? Yes, I said that yesterday. I will say it from now until November 5th. If he loses this election, it is because he did not press the case convincingly enough, despite ample amounts of ammunition. And accepting the invitation to go to the Society of Black Journalists was not a mistake by Donald Trump. You'll notice Kamala Harris didn't show up. The reason why Kamala Harris didn't show up is not because she feared facing tough questions, although she probably feared facing a few, since Harris Faulkner of Fox was sitting on the panel yesterday. But you and I both know it was going to be, as much as it could be, a layup for Kamala Harris. She's not confident or competent enough to even handle the layup line of questions she would get from sitting down with partisan hacks in the major media, which is, I'm repeating myself because 98% of them are. Nevertheless, it did not go amazing for Donald Trump. Now, before I get into the audio from the appearance, let me just first say that when I worked at the Cleveland Plain Dealer from 1987 to 2005, I would periodically hear about, the Society of Black Journalists is going on. And I always thought, there is no Society of White Journalists. If there were, it would be racist, of course. So why is it not racist for there to be a Society of Black Journalists? I would love to have that question answered for me. Why they are allowed to segregate according to race, and a lot of newspapers would go and hire exclusively from their convention. I lived it for 18 years at the Plain Dealer, where shortly after I was hired in 1987, I sat down with the editor who hired me, and he said, the reason why we interviewed you in September, and it took us until late October to make you an offer, is because the National Labor Relations Board required us to interview 18 minorities for the position that you filled, and we had to certify that you were the best candidate. We had to write down why you were the best candidate. So that kind of discrimination proliferated decades ago in hiring practices. And it is why we allow a society of black journalists, but would never allow a society of white journalists. It is why they accost Trump yesterday for challenging Kamala Harris being a DEI hire, yet have nothing to say about Kamala segregating her voters into white women for Kamala, black, queer, gay men for Kamala, black men for Kamala, and white men for Kamala. That's fine. The door on racism accusations swings only one way, but Trump should have known that yesterday when he sat down and the first question, really a statement, an attack, came to him from Rachel Scott of ABC News. She's pathetic, but again, there's a way to disarm this question, and Trump failed to do it.
Addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
Okay, that is how you start. You say, well, it's obvious you bring a great deal of bias to our conversation today. That's all you have to say. Well, it's obviously, Ms. Scott, you bring a great deal of bias to our conversation today, because just to refer to one thing you said, when I refer to Alvin Bragg, I never refer to him as a black prosecutor. I refer to him as a prosecutor. He is black. You're drawing an equivalency that I've never said. So you're accusing me of something that is inauthentic, which in your role as journalist is not observant of journalistic ethics. And then move on and talk about what you've done for the black community. And he's got to stop referring to black jobs. That is a stupid characterization. Jobs that could go to black citizens that are being taken by illegal aliens allowed into the country by the Biden administration. Why is that so hard? Why is that so hard? And you can say, yeah, well, he eventually gets around to that. And I've got audio that proves he eventually gets around to that. You don't get to eventually get around to it, because there's a little thing that we have in media called editing. And how many times have tapes of what Donald Trump said been deceptively edited? Don't give them the rope to hang you with. He's got to get better at this.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. The deal is done. The U.S. and Russia completing their biggest prisoner swap in post-Soviet history, with Moscow releasing Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and Michigan corporate security executive American Paul Whelan. In the multinational deal, it set some 24 people free. That's according to officials in Turkey, where the exchange took place. They followed years of secretive back-channel talks, despite relations between Washington and Moscow deteriorated in recent years. New York appeals court denying former President Trump's bid to end a gag order in his criminal case. 5-judge panel rejecting Mr. Trump's argument that his May conviction constitutes a change in circumstances that warrants lifting the gag order. Sell-off on Wall Street. The Dow is down 512 points. The NASDAQ is off 198. More details, srnnews.com.
Government debt is now exploding by an unprecedented $1 trillion every 90 days. Think of that. It's a clear sign that our nation's finances are spinning out of control, and it's putting the savings of every one of you at risk. Hello, I'm Lance Wallnow, a news analyst and best-selling author and an evangelical leader. I'm deeply concerned about the impact this runaway debt is going to have on Christians like you who have worked hard to build your own nest egg for your family. To protect your financial future in these uncertain times, you need to diversify with something tangible and proven, like physical gold. That's why I recommend a gold IRA. To learn more, text FAITH to the number 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will rush you a free info kit on how to move your IRA or 401k to physical precious metals, tax and penalty free. So don't wait. Just text the word FAITH to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold Group is the only company I trust. There's no obligation. So text FAITH to 989898, and I pray this information helps you achieve prosperity.
Because truth is not a left-wing value, and the left lies as easy as you breathe. You need the clarity and wisdom of Dennis Prager every weekday afternoon from 1 to 3 on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not an offer. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit. 800-885-3333. That's 800-885-3333. 800-885-3333.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at PragerCruise.com.
News, opinion, passion. Here, 98.9 The Answer. Anywhere you go with The Answer's mobile app at 98.9theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn or iHeart.
Want to shout out my buddy Ron and also James, big listeners to the show, gentlemen who have heard me talk about Patriot Switch products before, patriotswitch.com/Bruce, if you would like to inquire. Both of them last night placed their first order, and very soon, within 2 or 3 days, they will be getting their products in the mail, better products than they've been buying at the stores, and products that they know will be healthy for them and for their families. They also are pretty interested in taking a bite out of woke capitalism. What is woke capitalism? Well, you're for capitalism. What's wrong? What is woke capitalism? Woke capitalism is companies that make products, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, sell them at big box stores, Walmart, Target, stores that were allowed to be open during the pandemic, but the little tiny mom and pop stores weren't. Then they take your money from their bottom line, from their profits, and donate to woke causes. You can strike a blow against all of this by buying better products, good for you, good for the environment, all plant-based, from a family-owned company that ships them right to your door. Find out more, patriotswitch.com/Bruce. I can just imagine during my last segment when I was critical of Donald Trump's answer at the Society of Black Journalists, that my buddy George, who lives west of Columbus, next time he sees me, George is going to come at me hard about being critical of Trump. Look, I'm going to be always honest with you, okay? I told you yesterday, I'll never compromise my personal integrity just to wear a cheerleader skirt. I am voting for Trump, and you should vote for Trump, and no one should consider even voting for Harris and Biden. I can't say it any more clearly than that. It is the battle for the future of America. It is the battle for the kind of country you and I grew up in, that we want our children to grow up in. There's no equivocating on my part on that. But I also would hope that if I can articulate positions as to how Trump can get better, I would hope that there are people of influence high up in Republican county politics, state politics, who listen to this show. They tell me they do, who can communicate to the Trump campaign, look, you need to get better on this. He needs to get better on this. He needs to focus. He needs to get specific rather than speaking in generalities. And he needs to know how to thrust and parry with people who clearly, it's not a surprise. He goes on the dais at a society of black journalists, and is he surprised he was not greeted warmly? I mean, I hope not. I hope he knew. I hope he was ready for battle. And these questions, they're totally predictable. You know you're going to get asked the question about, is Kamala Harris a DEI hire? And the response to that is to quote from what Joe Biden himself said about Kamala Harris when he appointed her as his vice president and when he crowed about the diversity in his administration, because he said it starts at the top. Here it is. To me, this is on whitehouse.gov stationery. A statement from Joe Biden. To me, the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion are literally, and this is not kidding, the core strengths of America. That is why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history that taps into the full talents of our country. And it starts at the top with the vice president. This was not the CNN debate where you weren't allowed to go out there with notes in your hand to read from, pull it out of your breast pocket and go, I'm glad you asked me about that. I know that you and many other journalists, Rachel Scott, are trying to use this as a sledgehammer on Republicans who say that Kamala Harris is a DEI hire. But let me read to you what Joe Biden said after he appointed Kamala Harris vice president of the United States. Is that how Donald Trump answered the question? Of course not.
Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
She was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't.
Clumsily phrased, not incorrect, but clumsily phrased. You can't say, what are they going to focus on? What two words in that response are they going to focus on? And you're going to hear ad nauseum from here on out. What are you going to hear? Turned black. That's what you're going to hear. That's not how you say it. You say, she has, in interviews, when she was running for president, repeatedly stressed her Indian heritage, her Asian heritage. Now, in order to curry favor with a voting bloc that is responding to my presidency and how I served them as president, with the highest black employment rate in history, with the greatest gains in black family wealth in history, she is trying to paint me as a racist and curry favor by treading on an aspect of her ethnicity that she never emphasized before. That is how you answer the question. That is, does he have advisors who know how to prepare him on this stuff? I would hope so. Does he listen to them? Apparently not. Because if so, he would answer questions a whole lot better. That's not the only time he flubbed yesterday. Are you surprised he got a question about pardoning January 6 protesters? Is that a shock? What odds would you have set? He's going to walk out there on stage and they're going to say, January 6th, insurrection. You got to have a better answer for that than this.
What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed
But sir, my
that
question
city?
is on those.
What's going to happen to
my
the
question
people
is
that
on
tried
those
to burn
rioters who assaulted
Stop me.
officers.
You have to
Would
answer.
you pardon
What's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You
If
would
they're
pardon those-
innocent- If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just under.
All right. He's not wrong to say, if they're innocent, the January 6th protesters, I'm going to pardon them. But you get to that point by saying, the difference between me and the Biden administration is that I tell the truth and that I apply justice equally under the law. The January 6th protesters who destroyed property and who committed actual crimes for which we can make a judgment based upon the videotape that we have of that day should serve whatever criminal sentence is appropriate for their crimes. What I have an issue with is that protesters in the aftermath of George Floyd's death were given a total pass, just like protesters now who destroyed property on college campuses during Hamas protests are being given a total pass. That is not equal justice under the law. That is not justice is blind. That is the issue that I have. There's a way to say it that completely disarms the left. And then there is a way to say it where you on the right can defend it, but they're never going to give you the time to defend it. You shouldn't have to do that. He should do that. That is a talent. That is a skill. That is something that is incumbent upon the nominee of a party if they really want to win the presidency. And you know you are going to be facing not just Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, but the combined power of academia and the media and every other influencer out there. You have to be ready to fight that battle, and you have to be equipped and able to fight that battle. Here's more of Trump's response to that question.
Well, they were convicted by a very tough system. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them?
That's great.
But sir, we're talking about people that were seen beating officers with flagpoles, dragging them down the stairs. They're on video. Have you seen that video, sir?
Really? Well,
You would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face who was protesting. They shot her in the face. You know, nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle. Nobody died, but people died in Minneapolis. You know people died in Minneapolis.
Some of that's good. Some of it's clumsy. Some of it's just not full bore. That's like a 65% answer. They shot a woman in the face. Her name was Ashley Babbitt. She was this. She was a mom. She was a daughter. She was this. She was there because she supported me. And then you come back and say, they shot her in the face. And then you say, and nobody died that day? No, not nobody died that day. No police officers died that day. You on the left keep saying 5 police officers, 8 police officers. What? You're wrong. You're not reporting it. Rachel Scott at ABC News, is accuracy important to you? Then why is it not important to you to report accurately the events of January 6th? Prosecute the case. The facts are on your side.
Clouds hot and humid. Rain, thunderstorm this afternoon. Could be heavy. That could bring some damaging wind. The high 90. Cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm tonight, low 72. Clouds and sun. Shower and thunderstorm for tomorrow. Could be heavy late in the day. Flash flooding possible. High 86. Clouds and sun. Thunderstorm on Saturday. The high near 80. Partly sunny for Sunday. And the high Sunday at 88. Partly sunny, humid Monday. The high again 88. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
This is Josh Pick with Aptus Wealth Management. The U.S. and the world have certainly changed a lot in the last few years. We're facing money dangers that we haven't seen in a long time, maybe ever. Inflation continues to be a problem. Interest rate increases have made purchases like cars and homes seemingly impossible for some, and retirement looks like a scary proposition. For many, It appears to be a dire situation and has left them paralyzed and fearful. You are not helpless, and there are ways to gain back control. At Aptus, we help our clients navigate the labyrinth of retirement planning and educate them on how to make appropriate choices for their individual situation. Whether you have never met with a fiduciary investment advisor before, or you just want a second opinion, we're here to help. Call our office today at 614-917-1040 and learn how a cost-free complimentary meeting may be the key to putting your money to work and your mind at ease. And don't forget to listen to the Aptus Blueprint Radio Show Friday evenings at 6, Saturday afternoons at noon, or call our office today at 614-917-1040.
Are you ready to lose weight but not sure where to start? Let me tell you why I chose a PhD weight loss and nutrition. First, Dr. Ashley Lucas has her PhD in chronic disease and sports nutrition. The program is science-based. The PhD program starts with nutrition, but is so much more. They know that 90% of permanent change comes from the mind, and they work on eliminating the reason you gained this weight in the first place. There are no shortcuts, no pills, no scary injections, just solid science-based nutrition and behavior change. And finally, I lost 42 pounds, and I haven't gained a pound back. PhD has a lifelong maintenance plan. If you are ready to lose weight for the last time, call 864-644-1900 to get started. Or online at myphdweightloss.com. Do what I did, what hundreds of my listeners have done. Call today, 864-644-1900.
Are you ready to take the next step in your education? Look no further. Ohio Christian University offers entirely online associate, bachelor, and master's degrees in a wide range of fields, from business to psychology, human services, and data science. With flexible online classes starting August 13th, you can take one course at a time or double up to fast-track your degree from the comfort of your home. Don't wait any longer to invest in your future. Take the first step today. Call 844-726-7937 to learn more, or visit ohiochristianuniversity.edu/apply.
Hi, this is Ralph Drollinger, President and founder of Capital Ministries. I have the privilege of leading the Senate and House member Bible study every week in Washington, D.C. And I'm also the host of the new weekend program here on your radio station called Capital Ministries Weekend. Listen along as we discuss the crossroads between the Bible and politics on a timely basis.
Listen to Capital Ministries Weekend, Sunday mornings at 7:30 on 98.9 FM The Answer.
Hi, I'm Paul George with Keller Williams Greater Columbus Realty, host of the Paul George Real Estate Show, broadcasting every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on 98.9 The Answer. Using over 30 years of trusted real estate agent experience in Central Ohio, I'll share invaluable insights into the ever-evolving local real estate market, provide you with current trends, and bring industry experts who will share their wisdom on the art of buying and selling homes. Join me every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. right here on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
We are getting close to going back to school, vacations ending, and it's the time of year where people start to think about, man, those months are flying by on the calendar and the holidays will be here before long, and we got to get our flooring replaced. So if that is you, you're looking for beautiful new carpet or luxury vinyl plank flooring, want to redo your kitchen, your bathroom, your rec room, I'm the guy to help. Go to brucehooley.com, click on flooring in the upper right-hand corner of the page, and I will be on the case. Come out, measure your space, introduce you to all the brands that we have. They're not any different than the ones that you get at big box stores. There's one thing different, though. We do not try to pull a bait and switch on you. We price our flooring the way that it is sold by the mills. We don't try to trick you by pricing your carpet by the square foot when it is actually sold by the square yard. You might think you're getting a bargain, but you're not. We're not going to charge you for padding. We're not going to charge you for some of the other things that big box stores do. So check it out, brucehooley.com, flooring tab, upper right-hand corner of the page, brucehooley.com, flooring tab, upper right-hand corner of the page. One of the stories that is getting some national play today on conservative sites, it's not going to show up at all on your nightly news or anywhere else, is a boxing match that took place this morning at the Paris Olympics. Didn't even involve an American boxer. So why is it a big deal? Because it involves a man pretending to be a woman, Iman Khalif, an Algerian, who has twice failed gender tests, who has twice shown up with chromosomes X and Y that prove he is a man, not X and X. You'll notice my hat, XXXY Sportswear, endorsed by Riley Gaines, endorsed by me. I don't get any money from it. I just pay money to wear it because I want to support the fact that men cannot be women, boys cannot be girls, and vice versa, and that men should not be playing women's sports. But this man is allowed to compete in the Olympics as a woman, and he was competing this morning against an Italian opponent, Angela Carini, who in her pre-Olympic press conference broke into tears talking about how she fights in an effort to honor her late father who died of cancer. This was her first bout. She went out. It lasted 46 seconds before she was hit twice in the face, likely suffering a broken nose. She said she had never been hit this hard before in her life because, of course, up to this point, she had fought women, not men. But now, men punching women in the face is an Olympic sport allowed by the International Olympic Committee. You will not see men swimming as women in the Olympics because the governing body of USA Swimming does not allow that for Olympic competition. The NCAA allowed it when Leah Thomas stole an NCAA championship from a field filled with actual women. But this is decided on the Olympic level on a case-by-case basis. And this is an egregious display of why this mind virus must be eradicated. Otherwise, it will multiply and grow, and it won't take long for it to become so big that it cannot be contained. That's a story across the Atlantic Ocean from us today, but sadly, it dovetails with a story that has local implications, which involves the Olentangy local school district, one of Ohio's fastest growing school districts, headed by a board of education and a superintendent that do not prize truth, do not prize actual science and biology, but instead honor this lie that men can be women, women can be men. And also, I would say, horrifically misserve the students who are trapped in the lie of gender dysphoria. I rail against this when I see it play out in athletic competition, when I think about men violating women's spaces, because it is evil. And it is a threat to the safety and the psychological well-being of our girls, of our wives, of our women. But I also have said before, and I cannot say enough, how much empathy I have for parents who do not abide this in their, it's more common in daughters than sons, and nevertheless cannot get their child to see how God intended them to live their life. That is a very difficult situation. And I've said before, I do not want these children to be bullied in any way. But I don't want any children to be bullied. And when you force students to say things that are not true under the guise that saying things that are true bullies students trapped in the lie of gender dysphoria, then you are not only allowing bullying in your schools, Olentangy, you are allowing more bullying in your schools rather than less. But they went to court, and Ohio's 6th Federal Judicial Circuit decided 2-1 that forcing students to call a boy a girl or by a girl's name, their preferred pronoun or however you want to say it, forcing a boy or girl to say something that is inarguably untrue about another student who contends they are a sex different than they actually are. Olentangy won the case contending that that is not compelling speech, that that is not a violation of the First and 14th Amendments. This does not happen unless you have judges who uphold this lunacy. And one of the judges who did is, of course, an Obama appointee, Jane Stranch, who wrote that, quote, without the ability to enforce such anti-harassment policies, the Olentangy district would be unable to protect students from abuse and harassment. Is it abuse and harassment, Judge Stranch, to penalize students for telling the truth? Where do we draw the line? You're in math class and you give an answer and you say, that's my preferred answer. Yes, but it's wrong. But it's my preferred answer. And if you don't honor it, that's abuse and harassment because it makes me feel bad. You can say, well, that's an extreme example. It's not an extreme example. If you're going to carry something out as unhinged from logic and truth, that you can force students to say something they know is not true about a classmate, calling a he a her, calling a Bill a Jane, then where does it stop? Where does the compromising stop? What is the value of truth in the Olentangy School District? I can tell you right now, it's at 0 as I judge it from here. The 2-1 decision, writing for the dissent, Judge Alice Batchelder, said that as this goes up the judicial chain, parents defending education who were representing parents in the Olentangy district who are fighting against this, said that the First Amendment prevents the district from compelling students to use speech that conveys a message with which they disagree, namely that biology does not determine gender. If biology, first of all, gender is a made-up term. There is no such thing as gender. There is sex, male and female. Don't even have the argument on the basis of gender. Gender is luring you into an argument where language will be bent to force you to say something that is untrue. So don't even have the argument. Parents Defending Education says this is not the end of the road and that they will seek further review of this decision. Our U.S. Supreme Court is going to have to decide this. And this is just another reason why the Harris-Biden Democratic side of the aisle fears this U.S. Supreme Court, because they do prize truth.
You get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready to take the next step, Google Salem Surround Columbus right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Google Salem Surround Columbus today.
Who are the people that serve part-time in the Ohio Army National Guard? We are your neighbors and friends. We are your sons and daughters. Our service is providing us valuable job skills, and it pays up to 100% of our tuition. We're proud to serve our state. We are your Ohio Army National Guard. Learn more about part-time service with the Ohio Army National Guard at nationalguard.com/OH. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard, aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Find us at 9890answer.com. Download our apps. Stream us 24/7. WTOH and WTOH HD1, Upper Arlington, Columbus.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. 3 U.S. citizens imprisoned in Russia, including Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gerskovich, are being released under a prisoner exchange deal. From Moscow, BBC correspondent Steve Rosenberg.
I think the takeaway for Russia is that hostage diplomacy works. And that's why I think we can expect to see more of this kind of thing. We can expect to see more prisoners in Russia, be it foreigners, be it Russian citizens, being used as bargaining chips. So, of course, Dave, they're celebrating the release of Western citizens and Russian dissidents. But looking ahead, I think that this will possibly embolden Russia to do more of the same.
8 Russian nationals expected to be returned to Russia, including several with suspected ties to Russian intelligence. Also at townhall.com, a person has been killed in a wildfire burning in the Colorado foothills, as numerous blazes are torching large areas around the western U.S. It happened near Lyons, Colorado. The number of Americans filing for jobless claims has hit the highest level in a year.
The Labor Department says jobless claims for the week ending July 27th climbed by 14,000 to 249,000. That's the most since the first week of August last year, and the 10th straight week that claims have come in above 220,000. Before that stretch, claims had remained below that level in all but 3 weeks this year. Weekly unemployment claims are widely considered as representative of layoffs, and though they've been slightly higher the past couple of months, they remain at historically healthy levels. I'm Shelley Adler.
After yesterday's gains, all 3 major indexes down more than 1%. More at townhall.com.
Clouds hot and humid. Rain, thunderstorm this afternoon. Could be heavy. That could bring some damaging wind. A high 90. Cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm tonight, low 72. Clouds and sun. Shower and thunderstorm tomorrow. Could be heavy late in the day. Flash flooding possible. High 86. Clouds and sun. Thunderstorm on Saturday. The high near 80. Partly sunny for Sunday. And the high Sunday.
Thanks for joining us today. That'll do it for hour number 1 of the show. Hour number 2 is on the Bruce Hooley Show Facebook page and the 989 The Answer Facebook page, and I will tape it and have snippets of it released later on today on Twitter and my social media. You guys are great to join every day. I really appreciate it, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks.